Computer-generated chess problem 02501 by Chesthetica. This position is kind of unusual because black has got 3 bishops, whereas white has 2 rooks and a pawn. Furthermore, the rook on c3 is in a position to be captured by the bishop on d2. So it seems like the obvious thing to do here would be to play rook to f3, and then after king to g1, because rook to f1 mate was threatened, rook to e2, if bishop to c1, rook to e1 mates, if bishop to b4, rook to g2 check, king to h1, and rook to f1 mates. So black needs to delay maybe with bishop to d3, followed by rook captures bishop, bishop to f1, rook df2, bishop captures pawn, rook g2, king to h1, rook to f4, bishop to d7, rook h4, bishop h3, and rook captures bishop with mate. 2 rooks are clearly better than 2 bishops. But is all of that song and dance really necessary? The answer is no, and here's why. So there's no need to waste 8 moves on this checkmate when you only need half as many. And the key move is rook on the c file, which was being attacked by the bishop on d2, to e3, which means the bishop can still capture it, believe it or not. So if bishop captures rook, rook captures bishop, and now rook to e1 mate is being threatened. Black can only delay with bishop to d3, and after rook to e1, bishop intervenes, rook captures bishop, that's mate. But what if black doesn't capture the rook? What if bishop to e4? It doesn't change anything because either rook can capture this bishop and rook to e1 still cannot be prevented. Even if bishop to f4 check, rook captures bishop and the other rook will mate on e1. So from the initial position, it may not be clear the dynamics at play. Perhaps more experienced players would have seen it immediately, but I suspect if you're a beginner or even a club level player, you may not have seen this, or at least not have seen it right away. In any case, I hope you enjoyed. Until the next one.
Chesthetica's Book of Chess Constructs, Volumes 1 through 5. Available on Amazon.